The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supply sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Hello, welcome back to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, ask you to do it at the beginning of any stream. Don't forget, please, to like, comment on and share this stream to your socials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts and new content. As always, we thank you very much indeed for your support. All these things are free for you to do. They don't cost you a penny. We won't spam you. We won't have your bank account details. There's no risk to you whatsoever. 70% of the people that watched our comment in the last 28 days, guys, actually haven't subscribed to the channel, which is quite frustrating. But please, if you're one of that 70%, change that now. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. We're here to discuss. We've made the final, ladies and gentlemen, once again, of the Betway Cup. We are on a roll in this competition. You know, Sevilla in the Europa League, Real Madrid in the Champions League / European Cup have dominated those competitions in the same way that West Ham United have dominated getting to the final of the Betway Cup. Ben, it's what a time to be alive.
Oh, it's the premier club tournament in the world, without a doubt.
Well, our visitors to the London Stadium today are the mighty Celta Vigo, who from the Galicia region, and I hope I did the pronunciation. Not Galicia, Galicia. Do you like that?
Well, there's a little bit of a backstory about that we both know about, Rob. But yeah, that's one for another day.
We probably should leave that there. We probably should. All the ones in the live chat are all now wondering what you're talking about, and
I'll say it's Galicia. You can say it's Galicia.
Galicia. Yes. Yes. Right. So, Ben, obviously, you know, look, it's a pre-season friendly. I'm not entirely convinced there's got to be an awful lot of people there today. And you guys in the live chat, I will come at your comments shortly. So just keep shoving them in. I'm not going to ignore you. I will come to them in due course. Ben, obviously, like I say, they're not one of the heavy hitters of Spanish football. They're not one of the heavy hitters of European football. Celta Vigo. What do you know about them yourself? Have you got any sort of knowledge on them?
Mate, no. Not really. No, sorry, mate. I haven't really had time to do much research. But look, at the end of the day, they're a Spanish, top level side. They're got to be technically competent, aren't they? So I think it's a really good test for us with and without the ball. And to see some of the players we've brought in, whether they'll play, you know what I mean? We're buying players every other day. So a few of them, the likes of Guido and Fulkrug, I'd like to think that they'll be involved, because if they're not, then, the next game we've got is the league game. So you'd like to give them at least 45 minutes. But what I'd like to see, Rob, is us with the ball, trying to keep the ball. We brought Lopetegui in. We've heavily invested, and the players that we're bringing in, I'm hoping, are good technical footballers. Because I'd like to see us with the ball and keep the ball well.
Yeah, which is probably something under the previous manager we didn't really do so well. We were a
No.
counter-attacking team. I think hopefully the new manager is possibly going to be more adaptable in his approach. I don't think he's going to be so rigid and that, we've got one way of playing as we did under Moyes. So I'd like to think that, look, there will be occasions, I'm sure, when we go away to Man City, when we go away to Liverpool, where maybe we might have to accept that we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of playing panache and whatever, and we might have to be a little bit more solid, hard to beat, resolute, whatever. But I think against teams that reasonably, especially at home, we have an expectation of putting to the sword. I don't think we're going to see, like, and I always reference it, like I say, this was really the sort of like the moment where I sort of I had a little bit of a moment of epiphany last season was the home game against Sheffield United, where we were 2-0 up, and in the second half I was literally nodding off.
Exactly, Rob. Do you know what? I knew you was going to reference that game, because at the end of the day, old Moyes, he done a good job for us. But like even the other week, he seems a bit bitter and he had a bit of a dig about, I don't even know what the West Ham way is. But the reality is, the West Ham, whether you know what the West Ham way or not is, the West Ham way is not sending our fans to fucking sleep. That's for sure. And like I say, Rob, what we want to see is, we want to win games, but we want to be excited. And by excited, I don't necessarily mean fancy step overs and flicks. Let's just have a good bit of football that people can walk out the stadium and think, do you know what? I have actually enjoyed watching that game and I've been entertained.
Yeah. I would say that, this is, I mean, we've obviously had, and we will do a video about it shortly, but I'm just going to touch on it, the breaking news that Jean-Claire Todibo is now, he's had the photo shoot done, it's on the official website, he is now a West Ham player. So that's good news. I mean, when you stop and think about it, 12 months ago on this very day, we made our first signing of the transfer window in Edson Alvarez. Fast forward, yes, 12 months ago, Edson Alvarez was our first transfer signing. 12 months ago, today, of that transfer window, Edson Alvarez. Now you look here, and we've brought in, 7 players now?
Yeah,
I mean, Tim Stighton has been, I'll be honest, a couple of weeks back, I was a little bit concerned that maybe, we was calling him the Pearl Diver, and I'm like, well, maybe he's diving for something else. I'm not quite sure. But all of a sudden, it's just seemed all the pieces have fell in. And all right, look, let's be honest about it. We don't know how these players are going to gel. We don't know how these players are going to adapt to Premier League football, especially the ones that have not played in the Premier League. But fundamentally, we've got a lot of business done, which on paper looks good business. On grass, we'll wait and see. But it's an exciting time to be a West Ham fan for sure.
Oh, mate, absolutely. And I think, I don't know the ins and outs, but I'd have to say, from what I've seen, we must be the busiest Premier League club in terms of players coming the door and maybe money spent as well. Like you've got to, the board get a bit of criticism, rightly so, on a lot of things. But you've got to say that they've backed Lopetegui and Stighton like this transfer window, and the players we're bringing in, Rob, they're top players. These are players that have played in Champions Leagues, played for their country in the Euros potentially, and mate, we've got to be aiming high this season. I can't accept bringing in the players we have and just going, oh yeah, I'd be happy mid-table and a good cup run. No way. Like if we've got these players, let's fucking do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely that. How sad do you think it's going to be, the fact that the first home game that our new manager is going to be playing in front of probably some of the new signings that we've made? Not all. I don't expect to see Todibo. I don't think that's going to happen. He may come out at halftime or before the game to be introduced to the crowd. And I use that word in inverted commas because obviously this is the game that Hammers United have earmarked as a protest against the very unfair reduction and stripping back of the concessions to the rank and file West Ham fans, and obviously now it looks like that we're possibly going to be playing in front of a stadium that's maybe half full at best. And whilst I sort of sit there and think, and I'd like to know your thoughts, on the one hand, I think, well, if the protest is going to have the impact that it's after generating and maybe gets them to the hierarchy reconsider, it's a good thing. It's just a shame that it's come at the first home game. I know it's not a league game, but the first home game that the new manager and some of the new players are going to be taking to, and they're going to be looking around 62.5 capacity, but it's actually 66,000 in reality, stadium, and there'll probably be no sod there.
Yeah, Rob, exactly the same thoughts as you. It is a shame for Lopetegui and the new players because, you know, Steidton would have been saying, "Oh, come to us," because we haven't got European football. No. He's probably had to sell West Ham. And our great fans, big stadium, and then, you know, they might put the shirt on and think, "Fucking hell, where are they all?" But at the end of the day, Rob, I actually think I'm fully in support of the fans that are taking this action. But I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I believe is it the old age pensioners and the kids have actually got to pay exactly the same price as an adult now?
Well, there's certain sections of the ground, from how I've understood it, right, is that basically they have stopped new applications for concession tickets, i.e. old age pensioners and children in certain categories, because obviously you've got band 1, band 2, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And I think that the only places now that you can get new season tickets for concessions are bands 4, 5, I think it is. So in other words, what you're doing, right, is to the 70, 80-year-old guy that sort of like worked all his life, might have even been in the forces, his knees are shot to bits, his ankles are shot to bits, and you're turning around to him and saying, and you know where I sit, Ben.
Yeah.
You're turning around to him and saying, you can go and sit up in the gods next to Gatesy. I mean, really? I mean, I struggle to get up there at 48 years of age with a dodgy left knee. But good God, you're asking someone that's got a walking stick to go up there. I mean, good God.
Yeah, and you know what, Rob? It's a piss take because really, let's be honest, the additional money that they'll get is fuck all in the scheme of things, right?
£600,000.
Yeah, and what's that? Fucking one of the new players' wages for a month or 6 weeks. Yeah, do you know what I mean? You know, it feels like they're trying to cut cost or increase revenue in the wrong fucking place. You know what I mean? We was having a text discussion on it yesterday, Rob. We spent 25, 30 million on a player, Zuma. We're letting him go for fuck all. So we're happy to wipe our mouth on 25 million, but we want to screw the fucking working man for 600 grand.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
So you know, quite frankly, Rob, I'm mega excited about the season, but it's just unfortunate that they've done this because, you know, we're also excited with the new manager and the new additions, but this concession thing is just it's soured it slightly.
100%. Let's turn our attentions to the match, and obviously I appreciate you don't know too much about the opposition players and all the rest of it, so I'll take up a little bit of slack on that one and just say that I've done a little bit of genning up, and I'm not saying I'm an expert in Spanish football, so guys, I'm literally going from what I've observed on some of the players the recent history. They have recently been managed by Rafa Benitez, the former Liverpool manager, Newcastle manager, Chelsea manager, etc., etc. He was their manager until sort of fairly recently. He was jettisoned during the course of last season. The new manager has come in, and he's sort of like, because they were actually in some relegation peril at one point or another, but the new manager came in and steadied them and got them away from the relegation zone. His gentleman's name is Claudio Giraldez. He got them to 13th place in La Liga last season. And some of the players that they've got in their ranks, just to sort of like one name that you may have heard of, if you've got a fairly long memory of Liverpool players of old, it's a gentleman by the name of Iago Aspas, who's actually their captain. He's about 37 years of age now, so he's no spring chicken, but he's still going strong. But another player to look out for if he plays tomorrow or today, excuse me, is a young lad by the name of Hugo Alvarez. Now, he's 21 years of age. He's a midfielder. He's quite sort of like a unit, 6'1", can get around the pitch quite well. He's played for them for a number of years. He came through their youth academy. So he's been around sort of like the club for a long time. And I think this could be a player to look out for as far as the Celta Vigo team. If this team puts together in the way that I suspect it might be, I think he will play at some point. But he's possibly a player to look out for, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll put Celta Vigo to one side and we'll concentrate now on West Ham, because obviously that's our specialist subject, not Celta Vigo. And this is for you guys in the live chat as well. So please don't be shy in getting your thoughts across on this. So Ben, what West Ham player do you think will be the key to a positive result? Now, bear in mind, I'll tell you what, let's swap the order, because normally this is the order I do it during the preview we normally do. So I'm actually going to swap it, this question. I'm going to go with this one first. Ben, what would be your starting 11?
Interesting. I'll go for. Do you know what? It's actually it's a difficult one, because with the new players we've brought in, you don't know, like Lopetegui. Like I'm not a specialist on Guido Rodriguez, but quite frankly, a guy that's fucking won the World Cup, he ain't coming to us to sit on the bench. Do you get what I mean? So all of a sudden, you're starting to think, well, who's going to fit in there? So I'm going to go for. And what I'm conscious of, Rob, is that actually the likes of Paqueta and Bowen, people that were playing at like the Euros and the Copa America, they haven't actually played a fucking proper friendly yet.
Yeah.
So they need to get really up to speed. So I'm going to say, obviously, Areola in goal. I'll say it's probably a back four of Kufal, Kilman. Probably, I'd go Mavropanos, because a Gerd. My view is I don't really rate him that highly, and I'd like to flog him personally. And Emerson left back. Obviously, we're looking at Wan-Bissaka. If Wan-Bissaka joins, he will be first choice, in my opinion. I'll then say a midfield three in the middle, because I think Alvarez is still injured, isn't he?
He is, yeah, I believe so. So
I'm going to say Rodriguez slots in there with Paqueta and Freddie Potts. You know, I want to see Freddie Potts in there. I'm going to say Bowen, Kudus and Fulkrug ahead of them, you know. So I think that would mean Somerville's on the bench. And a few of the, no doubt, a few of the other signings are on the bench. But that'd be the team I'd go out. I'm very excited to see Fulkrug. I think his strengths are going to work nicely with Bowen and Kudus. I could just see him maybe dropping deep, holding it up, laying it off, and you've got the speed merchants either side. And I'll include like Somerville in that and scoring goals. I think we're going to score goals, and I'm hoping the addition of, say, like Rodriguez, especially in the middle of the park, will let us dictate play more.
Yeah, I think that I'd like to see, because Areola's not featured at all in pre-season. Obviously, he was away with France at the Euros, so he got a little bit of extra time off, as did Jared Bowen and Lucas Paquetá. But I think I'd like to see Areola start in goal. And then I think probably, and I know this is probably going to be quite harsh on Fabianski, but I think I'd actually like to see Fotheringham come out in the second half. Because, look, we know what Fabianski can offer. It'd be quite nice to sort of see what the other goalkeeper that we've got in the summer could maybe offer if the situation dictates. But I'd like to admit, though, Rob,
I must admit, I think that is the most pointless signing I've ever known.
It's David Martin, mate. It's David Martin.
But what is the point? Why do you even need this guy on the fucking books? Quite frankly, Fabianski's number two, and if I'm in the 1% chance or less than 1% that they're both injured, then fucking hell, give one of the young lads a fucking chance instead of some old deadbeat.
Yeah, Finley Herrick would we had Nathan Trott, we had Joseph Anand, but we've moved them on. But I think I'd probably the same as you. But obviously the decision's made, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
Just going to jump in, just West Ham Irons. My understanding is the game is on ESPN Plus, which I think if you're the most law-abiding of citizens, you're not going to have, if you catch my drift. But yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, I'd start Areola in goal. I think Kufel, yeah, right back. Although it's one of those where I'm like, does he have to? Because he's not looked great in pre-season, I've got to say.
Who's that? Sorry.
Kufel.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? He's been a great servant,
Yeah.
and in terms of output, he got quite a few assists last season. I just think defensively, he looked very. Anyone that runs at him, he just backs off and backs off. And like I say, Wan-Bissaka. I don't think Wan-Bissaka's the best technical footballer, but he's a fucking good defender. Not many people can get past him.
Yeah, no, he will be better defensively than Kufel has. Whether offensively he's up to the mark, but at the end of the day, I'm a little bit old school. It's like, well, fundamentally, he's a defender, so he needs to defend, really, doesn't he?
Exactly that, Rob. And also, with the attacking talent we've got in the side, you know what I mean? Let them fucking worry about scoring goals. You just keep it out.
Yeah. So I'd go Kufel on the right. I'd go a centre-back pairing of it would have to be two lefties for me. It would have to be Kilman and Aguirre, because I think obviously we're not going to see Todibo. Obviously, I suspect that at the Villa game we're probably going to have the £80 million centre back pairing. Although actually Todibo right now is a loan signing with the obligation to buy at the end of the season. But in this game, it would be Kilman and Aguirre. Which one plays slightly out of position is a bit of a moot point, really. And then on the left, I'd like to see Emerson. Guido Rodriguez, I'd like to see as the holding midfielder. Either side, I'd like to see. I'd like to see Freddie Potts get a go, and I'd like to see him playing alongside Lucas Paquetá. And then a little bit further up, I think I'd like to see Bowen getting a run out because he's not been involved up to this point. I'd like to see Somerville, and I'd like to see. I'm torn between Fulkrug and actually giving Antonio a go, and bringing Fulkrug on in the second half, because I don't think I wouldn't go a full strength 11, but I think I'd go about 2/3, 3/4 full strength 11 for this game. And then sort of the rest of the players introduce them at the sort of like in the second half. But yeah, I'm a little bit torn. I think Antonio's looked quite sharp in pre-season, to be fair to him. I know he's someone that comes in for a lot of stick, and I'm one of them that sometimes gives him a little bit of clog. But he's actually looked pretty sharp. He's looked pretty on it in pre-season for me.
Yeah, I agree. And he scored against Wolves, scored a good goal. And to be honest, Rob, he kind of relishes when we buy a new striker. Look, he knows the score. He's getting old. We need to replace him. But he kind of relishes the competition. Because you think Haller come to replace him. We've seen off Haller. Scamacca come to replace him. He's seen him off. So I think Fulkrug's cut from a different cloth than those two, personally. But who's to say that during games or certain games you can't play the pair of them? You know what I mean? Like that is, or if you need a goal, having Antonio and Fulkrug and getting some balls in the box, that's going to be fucking quite tasty, if you ask me.
Yeah, and you've also got Bowen buzzing around, Paquetá pulling the strings, Somerville buzzing around. That I think offensively we're pretty well set. I think that defensively, obviously, we've brought in Todibo. We've got Rodriguez that's sort of like a defensive-minded player. And I think that if we can get the right back sorted out, and whether it's Wan-Bissaka, whether it's Walker Peters, whether it's Arnau Martinez from Girona, or maybe someone else that we haven't even sort of thought about, someone that Tim's got on his radar that none of us have even heard of, that comes in and does a job. I think we can be pushing for European spots. I'm not saying we're gonna win, we're gonna get a European spot, but I think that we can be a contender for it until the latter stages of the season. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Like, we've got yeah, we've got to have high ambitions, and I think Lopetegui, look, you never know what's going to happen. If you can build the momentum, look at Villa. Like Villa fans wouldn't have been sitting here a year ago saying let's go for Champions League, but you just never know. So yeah, there's. Do you know what I'd love though, Rob? In terms of ambition for this season, yeah, Europe. I just want us to finish above Man United. I know it sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Do you know what, Rob? They have been fucking woeful the last
They
sort of
have.
5 years, and we've never finished above them. And we can have our best season, and they still finish above us.
They
So
shit out it.
yeah, they shit out it. So I'm hoping, yeah, if we can finish above them, we'll have done all right. You know.
Let's get on to the next question. I asked that question first, but I thought we'd better get your starting 11 first before we ask this question.
Yeah.
So, which
Yeah.
West Ham player would be the key to a positive result if your lineup takes to the pitch?
I'm going to say Kilman because I just feel like with the attacking talent we've got, we can score goals. Yeah. But what I want to see us is be solid at the back. So that's what he's been brought in to be a leader and make that defence solid. And then also, Rob, I'm going to say two players,
Okay.
and I want to see this Guido Rodriguez really take control of the game. I just feel like that central midfield area. Look, we've had some good players and good servants, but to be honest, Ward-Prowse and Souček, they've both got their good attributes, but dominating a game possession-wise is not one of them.
No.
So I'm hoping, and I'd love to see that this Guido Rodriguez give us that, being so comfortable on the ball, and let's just keep it, and then move the opposition around and then attack when the opportunity's there.
Absolutely. I think that. What do you think about Souček and Ward-Prowse? Do you think that both of them will still be West Ham players come the end of the transfer window, or do you think at least one of them is going to get shipped off?
Do you know what, mate? I'm not sure. I think a lot count. Like we brought this Guido in, and then the emergence of, say, Freddie Potts. You've got Lewis Orford in the background, who probably, with the players we've got, might not get too much of a look in. But I just feel like if we do rate Freddie Potts highly, which I'm hoping he really stakes a claim for himself in the first team. If not, let's loan him out. But I think if he's emerged and then Guido's in there, plus Paquetá, all of a sudden you're thinking Souček and Ward-Prowse. There's probably not room for. We're quite heavily stacked, and like you think Kudus can play in central attacking midfield as well. I like them both. But I just think maybe with Lopetegui's style, they just might not fit the mould, So I'm not sure, mate. I think you might see one of them depart.
If you was the manager, which one do you think, given how you would ideally like to play, and we suspect that how the manager would like to play on the front foot in the main, given the attributes of Thomas Souček and Ward-Prowse and what they could possibly fetch in terms of a transfer fee, which one do you think you would move out of the door and why?
Oh, mate, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. I'd be inclined to say I'd keep Souček. Just and if I was getting rid of one, I might consider getting rid of Ward-Prowse because he's got the attribute. He's a great delivery, set piece taker, but I don't think you can just be in the side because of that. Because quite frankly, Bowen can take a fucking great corner and free kick as well. And I've got a lot of loyalty to Souček. I think he's got some great attributes. I think he's got some attributes that probably aren't that great. But, I mean, the guy, fuck me, how many times has he bailed us out the shit last season in the last minute, getting a winner or an equaliser? And the guy, he's constantly at the top of the, distance travelled. The guy works his fucking socks off. So I'd like to think there is still a place in the squad for Souček. Whether that's in the starting 11 every week, I don't know. But, yeah, I'd like to keep Souček.
Fair enough. And we come to the main question, the final question of the sequence. What do you think your score prediction is? Which again, I realise is a bit of a loaded question because you don't know as much about Celta Vigo because they're not a team that are under your nose every 5 minutes. But what do you think the final outcome is going to be?
I'm going to say 2-0 to West Ham.
2-0.
Like I said, I'd like a clean sheet, and I'd like to see Fulkrug and Antonio get a goal. I'd give them a half each, and yeah, I think we can win the Betway Cup 2-0.
Why not, indeed? Whilst I've got the 42 of you watching, if you look at the ticker at the bottom, we've got a West Ham Massive League that we've currently got running. So if you go on to that website address, Sky Sports, super6.skysports.com/league, and look up the West Ham Massive League and put in that PIN number, which is Echo Bravo 53 November 8. My younger brother and I, we're in it, and I'm gonna absolutely obliterate him this season because he's got this little habit of every now and again he'll forget to put his predictions in, and I'll take advantage. And every year that he's been in one of these leagues with me, he's always.
No, I'm going to take this seriously this time.
Are you really?
Yeah,
sure?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any of you guys that want to get involved, it's all a little bit of fun. But I say a little bit of fun. If you actually manage to get all 6 of the predictions right, and when I say right, I'm talking the score line. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, right? For those of you that didn't see the thing yesterday, I'm just going to share with you. Right. Let me see if I can find you my.
I mean, Rob, you can win some big money on this, can't you? I know it's very difficult. Yeah, imagine for nothing. It's free to enter. You'd be mad not to do it.
Absolutely. It's free to enter, guys. It's a little bit of fun, but you can earn some money. And look, there's my prediction. So you've got 6 fixtures that Sky select, and you have to get them bang on the money. So you might get the, for instance, I've got there Arsenal to win 2-0. That's if it actually finishes up 2-1 to Arsenal, okay, I got the result correct, but I didn't get the score correct. But if I got all 6 of these absolutely on the nose, I'm led to believe. Have I got it right, Ben? Is it £750,000 is up? 3/4 or £250,000? Excuse me.
I thought it was 250 grand, Rob. I think it's a quarter
grand. Yeah,
quarter of a mil.
Quarter of a million. I mean, that's not to be
that'll help, won't it?
that is better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, it has to be said. So for those of you that are watching, as I say, guys, get stuck into that. It's completely free to enter. All you got to do is create an account with Sky Sports, Sky Bet, but you don't have to make a deposit or anything like that. It's completely free to join. As I say, get in there. It's super6.skysports.com/league. You're looking for the West Ham Massive League, and it's number Echo Bravo 53 November 8. What's not to like? And as I say, it'll be a little bit of banter between Ben and I as to which one of us will come up on top, and we all know it's going to be me.
I agree. It is going to be you bastard.
Well, listen, it's you keep forgetting to do your results. What can I say? And I'm not going to prod you. Why would I? It's not to my advantage. But any final thoughts, Ben, before we knock it on the head?
No, mate, that's me. I'm all good. Done.
Right. Good. Well, there's 43 of you watching. Before you all disappear, please make sure you put a like on the stream, because that is what helps the channel out more than anything else. Don't forget to comment on it. Share this stream to your social media platforms. Also important, subscribe to the channel. Hit the button that says subscribe and hit the bell icon. You'll get new alerts on new content. All these things are free. All these things take literally seconds to do. And as I say, in the last 28 days, 70% of the people that watched our content aren't actually subscribed to the channel, which is a little bit of a shame. So hit the subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be doing us a massive, massive favor. Anyway, I'm going to leave the begging there. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget to give the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity a go. Come on, you Irons, and we'll see you next time.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.